Hey there, welcome to this video. My name is Jan Zuiderduin, founder of LearnSolidWorks.com, and today in this lesson I'm going to show you how to model this beautiful citrus squeezer in SolidWorks. This squeezer is called the Juicy Salif and it's designed by the famous designer Philippe Starck. So I think it's a beautiful piece of art, and in this lesson I'm going to show you how to model this one yourself. And therefore we're going to use a blueprint. So you can find the blueprint for this lesson under this video. So make sure to download the blueprint and then we're going to start modeling this piece of art yourself in SolidWorks. Alright guys, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new part. And therefore we're going to click at File, select New, click at the Part option right here and click OK. Alright, we're going to make sure that our background is white. Now in case it's not white, you can change the color of the background by clicking at the drop down menu right here and select plain white. We're also going to make sure that our planes are visible, and therefore I'm going to select the front plane in the feature tree, hold down your shift key and select the right plane. Now release your shift key and click at the eye icon to make our planes visible. We're also going to make sure that our measurements are set to millimeters. So if you go into the lower right corner right here, make sure to set it to millimeters. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import our blueprint. So hopefully by now you have downloaded your blueprint, and now I'm going to show you how to import this blueprint in SolidWorks. And therefore I'm going to click at the front plane right here, and I'm going to click at the 2D sketch icon, because we're going to project the blueprint onto our front plane. Then we go into Tools, Sketch Tools, and we're going to select the Sketch Picture option right here. So click at Sketch Picture. Now make sure to browse to the folder where you saved your blueprint, and now double click at your blueprint in order to import it in SolidWorks. Alright, now we're going to adjust the dimensions of our blueprint because I know that our citrus squeezer is 290 millimeters high. So I'm going to make sure to adjust the size of our blueprint to match with the right height. And therefore I'm going to use this scale option right here. And you can see this arrow right here. I'm going to drag to this endpoint right here and go to place it right here. And now I'm going to click and drag to this endpoint right here. And I'm going to make sure to make it vertical. I'm going to zoom in on the top of our blueprint right here. Now I'm going to release it and I'm going to make sure to set this length to 290 millimeters. Now click OK. Now if you're going to zoom out, you can see that our blueprint now has a height of 290 millimeters. You can also adjust the size in this box right here. So you can see it's now 289.9. I want to make sure it's set to 290. So we're going to adjust it a little bit, just like that. And now I'm going to move our blueprint to the center of our origin. I'm going to make sure that this point right here is placed onto the origin, just like that. This looks pretty good. Now can adjust it in this box right here as well. So I'm going to make sure that this one is set to 0. The height is set to 290 and the X direction is set to minus 39. Now hit enter. Now I'm going to change the transparency a little bit. So we're going to click at the full image right here. I'm going to set the transparency slider to 0.5. And this will make our blueprint a little bit more transparent. All right, this looks good. So we're going to click OK. And now I'm going to close this 2D sketch by clicking at the close sketch icon right here. And now I'm going to rename the sketch to blueprint. All right, this looks good. Now we're going to save our work. So click at the save icon. Now browse to a folder where you want to save your work. And in this case, I'm going to rename the part to citrus squeezer. Now hit save. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to model this geometry right here. And therefore I'm going to create a new sketch on the front plane. So select the front plane, click at the 2D sketch icon. And now we're going to draw a spline in order to make this shape right here. So I'm going to click at the spline command right here. I'm going to draw a spline from here up till here. Now right click select in order to close the spline command. And now you will notice that you cannot see the spline because it's exactly aligned onto our planes. So therefore I'm going to make my planes invisible for now. So if you go to View, Hide Show, we're going to deselect planes right here. And now our spline is visible. So if I'm now going to click at it, I can activate the spline and you will see two spline handles right here. Now, in case you click on the spline and you don't see those two spline handles because your spline handles are turned off, and in that case you can turn them on by going to Tools, Options, System Options, Sketch, and make sure to set the Enable Spline Tendency and Curvature handles. And if this box is checked, you will see those spline handles right here. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit and I'm going to select the endpoint of the upper spline right here and going to make sure to apply a horizontal relation to this point. So select this point and click at Make Horizontal and now click OK. All right, this is already looking pretty good. Now I'm going to make a line from here up till here. So click at the line command. We're going to draw a line from here up till here. It's a vertical line. Now right click select in order to close the line command. And now we're going to apply a couple of dimensions. So click at the smart dimension right here. And we're going to make sure that the upper point of the spline till this origin right here is set to 290 millimeters. So type in 290 millimeters. And I'm going to make sure that the length of this vertical line right here is set to 130 millimeters. Just like that. All right, and now we're going to adjust the size of the spline handle right here by clicking at the end point of the spline handle. And we're going to make sure to set the spline length to 75 millimeters. Just like that. This looks pretty good. Now click OK. And now you can see that our sketch turns black, which means it's now fully defined. So now we can close this 2D sketch. So click at the 2D sketch icon right here in order to close the sketch. All right, now I want to fill this surface, and therefore I'm going to select the newly created sketch in the feature tree, go to Insert, Surface, Fill, and now click OK. And now we have filled this surface. Now this geometry is made out of 12 sections. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pattern this surface 12 times. And therefore I'm going to create a circular pattern. So click at the drop-down menu under the pattern option right here and click at the circular pattern. We're going to make sure that direction 1 will be this vertical edge right here. We're going to make sure that the number of instances is set to 12. We're going to make sure it's set to equal spacing and that the angle is set to 360 degrees. And now I'm going to click at the bodies option right here and we're going to select this body in order to pattern it 12 times. Now click OK. And now we have created a beautiful circular pattern. All right, now I'm going to hide my blueprint for now because I don't need it right now. And now I'm going to create a round shape from one edge to the other one. And then I'm going to pattern that as well. And therefore we're going to create a new surface loft. So click at the surfaces option right here. Now we're going to select the lofted surface and I'm going to select one of those edges right here and one edge next to it right here in order to create a loft. This looks pretty good, but of course we want to make sure it will be more like a round surface instead of a flat surface, because this looks pretty flat and we want to make sure it will be round. And therefore we're going to click at the start and constraint box right here, and we're going to set the start constraint to tendency to face, and we're also going to set the end constraint also to tendency to face. So now you can see it looks a little bit more round, but I want to make it a little bit higher right here. So I'm going to adjust this strength to 5, for example, and I'm going to adjust this one as well. Make sure that apply to all is enabled. And now you can see a beautiful round shape. So this looks pretty good. This is the shape I envisioned in my head. So now we're going to click OK. And now we have created a beautiful surface. Now we're going to pattern this surface as well. But therefore we don't need those surfaces anymore. So we're first going to delete them. And therefore we're going to click at the surface bodies option right here. And now I'm going to select the first surface, hold down your shift key and select the second last surface. So this way only the newly created loft will be will be kept and the other surfaces will be deleted. So now right click and click at delete keep bodies. So now we're going to delete all those blue bodies right here, because these were only help surfaces, and click OK. This looks pretty good. And now we're going to make a circular pattern of this surface right here. But before we can make a pattern, we first need to make an axis for the pattern. And therefore I'm going to make my planes visible again. So go to View, Hide Show, click at Planes. And now I'm going to make a new axis between those two planes. So go to Insert, Reference Geometry, click at Axis. And now we're going to select the two planes option right here. We're going to select this front plane and this right plane. And now you can see in yellow a newly created axis. So click OK. And this axis we're going to use for our circular pattern. So therefore we're going to the features option right here. We're going to select a circular pattern by clicking at the drop down menu, select circular pattern. Direction 1 will be our newly created axis right here. The number of instances will be set to 12. Make sure that equal spacing is enabled and that the angle is set to 360 degrees. Now we're going to click at the bodies option right here and we're going to make sure to select this body. Alright, now we're going to zoom out a little bit and click OK. And now we have created some beautiful surfaces. But of course we want to make one solid body of this, and therefore I'm going to knit all those surfaces together. So click at the Surfaces tab right here. We're going to click at Knit Surface, and now I'm going to click and drag in order to select all those surfaces at once. We're going to click at the Create Solid and Merge Entities, and now click OK. Alright guys, we have now created one solid geometry, as you can see in the solid bodies folder right here. Alright, this is the base of our citrus squeezer. Now I want to make sure to make my blueprint visible again in order to make those legs right here. So click at the blueprint in the feature tree and click at show in order to make our blueprint visible again. Don't forget to save your work now and then. Alright, this looks good. Now I'm going to create a new sketch on the front plane. So select the front plane, click at the 2D sketch icon, and now we're going to create this leg right here. And the first thing therefore I want to do is I want to create this curve. So therefore I'm going to click at this 3-point arc option right here, and I'm going to make sure to create a 3-point arc starting at this point right here, up till somewhere around here. Make sure that this endpoint is horizontal to the origin, just like that. Now we can make a nice roundness to this. So I think this will look pretty good. Right click select. All right. Now we can apply a couple of smart dimensions. So click at the smart dimension. And we're going to make sure that the distance from here up till here is 55 millimeters, for example. And we're going to make sure that the height from this point up till the origin is set to 200 millimeters. And we're going to apply a nice radius of 730 millimeters, for example. All right, this looks pretty good. I'm also going to apply a smart dimension from here up till here in order to make this curve fully defined. So click at smart dimensions, and we're going to make sure that the distance from this point up till this point is set to 23 millimeters. All right, now you can see that it's not exactly matching the blueprint. That's because I created this blueprint a long time ago, and at that time I used a spline in order to create this curve. Now I use an arc in order to create a straight curve. So that's why it's not exactly matching the blueprint, but it doesn't really matter for now. All right, now we're going to close the sketch. And now we've created the first sketch right here. Now I'm going to create a new plane on this edge right here. And therefore, I first want to make a new help line. So I'm going to select the front plane, click at the 2D sketch icon, and now I'm going to draw a line starting at the end point of our curve up till somewhere around here. Right click select. We can now apply a length of this line of 22 millimeters, for example. And we're going to make sure that the angle between this line and our right plane is set to 20.6 degrees, for example. All right. And now we're going to close this sketch because we're only going to use this line as a help surface in order to create a new plane. So I'm going to click at the Insert Reference Geometry plane. I'm going to make sure to select our newly created line right here as our first reference, and the second reference will be the front plane, and this will help us to create a new plane on this line right here. So this looks pretty good, so we're going to click OK, and now I'm going to create a ellipse shape on this plane right here. So select the plane, we're going to click at the sketch command right here, select the 2D sketch icon. I'm going to rotate my screen a little bit, and now I'm going to make sure to create an ellipse. And therefore I'm going to click at the ellipse option right here, select ellipse, and the start point of the ellipse will be the center of this line, so this point right here, and the end point will be the upper end point of this line right here, just like that. And now we can set a width of this line, and now click OK. All right, this looks good, but you can see that our ellipse is now blue, which means it's not fully defined yet. All right, so now we're going to apply a width to this ellipse, and therefore I'm going to click at Smart Dimensions. I'm going to make sure that the length from this point to this point is set to 12 millimeters, for example. I think this looks pretty good. And now we have created a fully defined black ellipse. So we're going to close the sketch. Now we can rename those sketches as well. So this, we can rename the sketch to ellipse, for example. And we can rename the other sketch to help line, for example. We can also hide this one because we don't need it anymore. And this will be the lower curve of our leg. So we're going to rename the sketch to lower leg curve, for example, just like that. All right. And now we're going to create a circle on this surface right here. So therefore we're going to select the top plane, click at the 2D sketch icon. We're going to zoom in a little bit, and now I'm going to create a circle from here up till here. Make sure that the diameter of the circle is set to 10 millimeters, for example. 10 millimeters, so type in 10. Now I'm going to rotate my screen a little bit. Now I'm going to make sure to connect this circle with this endpoint by holding down the Control key. And now release the Control key and click at Make Coincident. Now you can see that our circle becomes black, which means it's fully defined. And now we can close this sketch. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a loft from here up till here. And I'm going to use this line, this lower leg curve, as a guide curve. So therefore I'm going to click at the features option right here. We're going to select the lofted boss base. Now profile 1 will be our newly created circle. Profile 2 will be our ellipse shape right here. And our guide curve will be this line right here. All right, this looks pretty good. Now we can click OK in order to make this beautiful leg. All right, this looks good. And the next thing I want to do is I want to create this smaller leg right here, and that will be an extrude from here up till here. And therefore I'm going to create a new sketch on the front plane. So select the front plane, click at the 2D sketch icon. And the next thing I want to do is I want to make an extrude in a specific direction. So I'm going to make a new line, and I'm going to create a line starting at the end point right here up till here. Right click select, and now I'm going to apply an angle between those two lines. So click at Smart Dimensions. We're going to select this line and the vertical line, and we're going to make sure it's set to 65 degrees, just like that. Now this line still is blue, which means it's not fully defined yet. So if I'm going to click and drag to this endpoint, I can snap it to this point right here by holding down your Control key, and now click at Make Coincident, and now it's fully defined. All right, this looks good. Now I'm going to close this sketch, and now I'm going to create an extrude from here up till here, and I'm going to use this line to define the extrude direction. So I'm going to rename the sketch to extrude direction, hit enter, Now I'm going to create a new sketch on this face right here. So select this face, click at the 2D sketch icon. We're going to click at Convert Entities in order to copy the outer geometry of this surface. Just like that. This looks pretty good. All right. And now I'm going to create a new extrude. And therefore I'm going to click at Features, Extruded Boss Base. Now we're going to select this sketch right here. But you can see if we're now going to create an extrude, it will go in this direction. And we want to adjust the direction a little bit. And therefore we're going to click at this box right here. And we're going to select our newly created sketch right here in order for the extrude direction. And now we can set it from blind to up to body. So click at up to body. And the body we want to extrude it on is this body right here. So select this body. Now you can see that the arrow is pointing in the wrong direction. So we need to change the angle just like that. And now it will make an extrude up till this body right here. We're going to deselect the merge result because I don't want to merge it with this body yet, because I first want to make a circular pattern for the other legs. So disable the merge result option right here and now click OK. All right, this looks pretty good. Now we have 3 bodies and I want to make sure that those 2 bodies will be merged to one body. And therefore I'm going to click at Insert, Features, Combine. And I'm going to combine those 2 bodies into one single leg body. This looks good. Now I want to apply a couple of fillets to those endpoints. Now this line right here has a diameter of 10 millimeters, so I'm going to apply a 5 millimeter radius to it in order to create a beautiful round surface right here. And I can see it cannot be generated, so we're going to make it a little bit smaller, 4.9 for example, and this looks much better. And now click OK. And now we have created a round fillet to this endpoint. We're also going to apply a fillet to this edge right here. So click at the fillet command. We can select the face fillet in this case. We're going to select this face as face 1 and this second face as face 2. And now we can apply a fillet. So we're going to apply a 3 millimeter fillet, for example. I think this looks pretty good. Now we can also apply a fillet to this edge right here if we want. So therefore we're going to create another fillet. This time we're going to use a constant size fillet. We're going to select this edge right here. We're going to make sure it's set to 3 millimeters and click OK. All right, this is a beautiful leg, but of course we not only want one leg, but we need 3 legs. So we're going to make our blueprint visible again by clicking at the hide show hideout types. And now we're going to make sure that this leg body will be patterned in order to create 3 leg bodies. So therefore I'm going to click at the drop-down menu under the pattern, select circular pattern. Direction 1 will be our axis 1. We created earlier in this lesson. Now we're going to click at the bodies option right here. We're going to select this leg body. Make sure that the number of instances is set to 3. Make sure that equal spacing is enabled and that the angle is set to 360 degrees. And now we can click OK. And now we have patterned our body 3 times. So now we have 4 bodies into our solid bodies folder. And of course I want to make sure that this will be one solid body. So therefore we're going to combine those 4 bodies. So we're going to click at Insert, Features, Combine. And make sure that the operation type is set to Add. And now I'm going to click and drag in order to select all of our 4 bodies. And click OK. Alright, this looks pretty good. Now we can also apply a fillet to those edges if we want, but in this case it's not necessary. I think this looks pretty good already. Now the last thing I want to do is I want to apply a nice material to this body. So we're going to select the body, right click, we're going to click the drop down menu next to appearances. We're going to select the body or the part, doesn't matter because it's only one part with one body. Now we're going to browse to the metal folder right here. And let's say we're going to select a grow material. Chromium plate will look awesome, I think. And now click OK. All right, guys, we have now created a beautiful citrus squeezer. Now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to save our work. So click at the save icon in order to save our work. All right, guys, I think this looks pretty good. There's only one small thing I want to adjust. I want to decrease the size of this leg a little bit on the lower endpoints right here. So therefore I want to adjust this sketch right here. So I'm going to collapse the loft right here. Now we're going to select this sketch right here, the lower sketch. I'm going to make sure to set it instead of 10 to, I think 8 will look better. We're going to make it 8 millimeters. We're going to close the sketch. This will also make an error for our fillet, which makes sense because the fillet is too big. So now we can adjust this fillet a little bit, and we're going to make sure to set it to 3.9, for example. And now click OK. And now we have adjusted the leg size a little bit. I think this looks a little bit more elegant. Alright guys, that's all I wanted to cover in this video. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Also make sure to check out learnsolidworks.com for many more SolidWorks product modeling tutorials. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll talk to you next time.